the notion of the physical as being secondary to the spiritual life energy, a ritual of thanks and of returning the energy to its source for another visit. Now we come to Homo sapiens sapiens, Cro-Magnon man. This order of the human species appears around 30,000 to 40,000 BC and appears not only in Europe, where he was first discovered, but also in Southeast Asia and in 2 or 3 other places, as though there were a parallel evolution taking place. This reconstruction by McGregor is based on the first Cro-Magnon skull that was found in the Dordogne. It's known as the Old Man of Cro-Magnon, and this is the man who, in those great caves, did those beautiful works of art. And now we have the first images. These Paleolithic Venus figurines, as they're called. They stand a few inches high. There are now something like 200 of these have been found in a belt stretching from the Atlantic coast of France and Spain right across Asia to Lake Baikal on the borders of China. They're all of essentially the same type. No accent on the face at all, no face whatsoever. Great emphasis on the breasts and hips and loins, that is to say, the miracle of the female body, the mystery of the female body, which gives birth to life and nourishment to life, that mother that we were talking about in the beginning. No feet, and this is explained simply by knowing that they were made to stand up in little household altar shrines. And 2 or 3 have been found, actually, in situ. These little figures are associated with dwelling sites, rock shelves under which the community lived. They do not appear in the big caves, dwelling sites. This is the mother of life. She is symbolic of that which all women incarnate. This is from a shelf in France called Lozelle. And it's a very important and suggestive figure. This little Venus of Lozelle is holding in her hand, in her right hand, elevated, a bison horn with 13 vertical strokes. That's the number of nights between the first crescent and the full moon. The other hand is on the belly. What is suggested, we don't have any words of writing from this period, what is suggested is a recognition of the equivalence of the menstrual and the lunar cycles. This would be the first inkling we have of a recognition of counterparts between the celestial and earthly rhythms of life. Now, there's the man Alexander Marshak has published a formidable volume called The Roots of Civilization, where he deals with a number of staves or staffs of this kind which are notched. And he has studied a number of these with a microscope and finds that the notches were not made by the same instrument at the same time on any one piece. And he says these are probably time-factored counts. Counts, many of them suggesting very strongly counts of the lunar cycle. So it may be out of the women's concern for this rhythm that they will have recognized in their own bodies that we come to mathematical and even astronomical reckoning. This figure is known as the Venus of Lespugue. It has been damaged, and so it isn't as beautiful as it must once have been. But what I want, why I'm presenting this to demonstrate, is that these are not naturalistic. They are aesthetic compositions. Brancusi might have been interested in this. The whole magic of the woman is brought here into one circle, the breasts and the hips brought down together. And then you have that elegant sweep of the chest to the head, and then the feet where she was made to stand in a little shrine. These figures date from around 18,000 BC, the Magdalenian times, or perhaps even earlier.
Campbell speaks of two types of human beings, the human being who is practical and the human being who is susceptible to beauty. We are all varying degrees of both, at times wrapped up in the day-to-day business of living, and at other times, usually in quiet moments of reflection, open to the spiritual dimension, to consideration of the mystery of life and, of course, death. It should be no surprise, then, that the earliest signs of mythological thinking should involve these very same themes. The goddess figurines of early Europe symbolize the mystery of the female body, which gives birth and nourishment to life. The mythic forms for the males, however, were quite different.